Got there. 6 to win, 4 for a super over.
G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad Aus Cricket Fantasy Show. I'm Stu, that's Dill, and that's Haz. We are the FantasyBros, and we have partnered with GameDay Squad to bring you all you need to know to succeed in Aus Cricket. Dill, what can our viewers expect from us this season, mate?
Yeah, g'day Stu, g'day Haz. Halfway through our team previews, only 4 remain, and then we've also got a couple of extra positional ranking shows to come before we jump straight into the season. Look, in every one of our team previews, we'll be letting viewers know the all-important team info, their ins and outs, the likely 11 for round 1, plus we analyse the must-have players, young gun, fade, and MVP candidates. And I believe, as always, there's going to be a pretty exciting pack opening competition where the viewers and listeners can always win some special prizes. Look, we've already got a few things in that giveaway, so make sure you tune in right at the end of this episode to check out the rest of the cards that we're going to chuck in there. Also, jump across to our socials. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple using the at FantasyBros AU. You can check us out there. Also, remember, make sure you jump on the app, download GameDay Squad. You can join using the promo code SUMMER. That is all capitals SUMMER, and that will get you 3x3 player common packs to get your team started. So plenty of opportunities, plenty of reasons to jump in and join GameDay Squad.
Yes, you do not want to miss the all-important analysis for each and every team. It's good to see that I've jumped into that picture now, and it's not just you two boys anymore, and I've officially joined the FantasyBros logo. So let's jump into today's preview, kicking off with the Melbourne Stars ins and outs for BBL 15. The ins for this season, Liam Hatcher's come across from the Thunder. Mitch Swepson's come across from the Heat. International signings, Joe Clark's returning once again from England. Tom Curran also from England. And Harris Ralph has returned to the Big Bash this season. The outs come from Bo Webster. Joel Paris has joined the Scorchers. And Brodie Couch has also joined the Scorchers. Off contract, Peter Hanscom, Blake McDonald, John Merlo, and Doug Warren. And that takes us into our round 1 likely 11. And this is based on what we are predicting their 11 may look like. So may be different, but this is what we predict the Stars lineup will look like come round 1. At opening the batting, we've got Tom Rogers and Joe Clark, Marcus Stoinis, The Big Show, Glenn Maxwell, Hilton Cartwright, Tom Curran, and then a really long tail with Sweppo coming in at 7, Hatcher, Steckity, Peter Siddle, and Harris Ralph rounding out the 11. Just a little side note, Peter Siddle, I believe he's turning 40 this year. So that's a pretty impressive effort from the old boy. 40 years old.
Mate, that is insane. For 40 years old, probably still getting through his 15 bananas a day. But look, for him to come in at 10 at 40 years of age means there's still someone worse than him, and that's poor Harris Ralph. Gee, that is a long tail, like you mentioned, isn't it? They probably want to hope their top 6 can get plenty of runs on the board, because once Sweppo comes in, if that lineup is one that they put together for a number of their games, gee, they're going to really struggle at the back end of that innings there. But of course, guys, so much can happen between now and the start of the season. You got to keep your ear to the floor. Make sure you're in the GameDay Squad Discord. Dill, Haz, and I will do what we can to update you with some squad information, and if there are going to be any likely changes for round 1. But that's the round 1 team that we're expecting. There's probably going to be a few changes here and there with some injuries and some late signings and that sort of thing. But let's get into the start of today's preview. And this is where Haz, Dill, and I are going to select our must-own players from the bat, the bowl, and the all-rounder positions. Dill, you're up first today, mate. Who have you got as the bat must-have? Sorry, the bowl must-have.
Yeah, mate, you just threw me off for a second there. I was ready to talk about the big boy and Harris Ralph. Look, my must-have bowler is that man, Harris Ralph. A lot of coaches probably should maybe dust off a few old cards. You might be able to find a Harris Ralph in there somewhere. He took a year off last year, but he is back. And hopefully he rounds out that bowling attack quite nicely. As we said, there's quite a long tail, and as I'm going to talk about, Harris Ralph is not very good with bat in hand, especially in the Big Bash. So hopefully they can get a few runs up top. Then they can use Harris Ralph to make sure that they're getting plenty of wickets. Look, 2 seasons ago when Harris Ralph was in the Big Bash, he had 6 wickets from 4 games and he had a strike rate of 12. So an average score of 43.25 5 GDS points. So pretty decent performance across 4 games there. Obviously, he had some other duties elsewhere around the grounds, and we've seen him previously to those seasons have a pretty big impact. But look, the Pakistani speedster really comes into this with some decent preseason form as well. He's had 5 international T20 games over the last couple of months, and he's really bowling his full allotment. And then he took 9 wickets across those games, and that included a hat-trick a 3-wicket haul, against Bangladesh. He also took 4 catches in those 5 games, so it demonstrates really his propensity to be able to field in the key hotspots. And that's super important, I think. We talk about our all-rounders being 3-dimensional cricketers and that we want to have stats from all areas of the ground. But for our bowlers, I think that's super important as well. They don't obviously contribute much with the bat. So if they can contribute in the field, that's just that little bit extra on top and obviously bumps up that ceiling just a little bit. Unfortunately, as I said, unlike a lot of bowlers that we have in the Big Bash, Harris Ralph really doesn't find himself standing at the crease too often. As a result, we don't really see a lot of batting points from him. In fact, in his last 8 international games of cricket, both at T20 and ODI standards, he's had 2 cracks with the bat. Coming in at 10, he's scored 6 and 3 not in both of those games. So not too much in the way of being able to add points to his fantasy output. But fortunately, those 5 T20 international stints, he ended up with a GDS average of 56 points. So not necessarily needed with the bat. You're getting a pretty good average there for Harris Ralph. And although we can't rely on his batting ability, I think his strike bowling for the Stars will be absolutely key. And it could be the difference for them. And then also for a lot of coaches who probably just need to go into the kit bag a little bit and see if they might dig deep in the depths of their squad and find maybe a Harris Ralph card there. And if not, as we always say, there's plenty of opportunity on that trade market.
Yeah, I've just had a quick look at the trade market, and there are a few Harris Ralph cards. There aren't too many. There's probably about 2 of each variety. So if you're listening to this preview and you love what Dill said about Harris Ralph and his bowling stocks this season, jump on there because there currently aren't too many. There are 2 diamonds at the moment, the cheapest one at $20. So that looks like a bit of a steal if he's going to be back to his fast bowling best. Mate, the bat must have. Who have you got?
There's a coin flip between one of 2, and I think we're going to talk about the other one later on. So they honestly don't have many batter-only options this season due to their all-round heavy and bowler-focused lineup that we mentioned earlier. And that makes Joe Clark my must-have batter for the Stars this season. English international returns to the club after a very brief appearance last season where he only featured in just the 2 games, where he averaged only 22 GDS points, which doesn't exactly say pick me, but Clark has already shown across previous BBL campaigns that he can be a genuinely explosive opener. Across his 38 BBL matches, he's scored 987 runs at an average of 27.41 with a strike rate of 133.92. Most of his damage came in his first 2 seasons with the Stars, where he piled on 800 runs across those seasons, including a high score of 101. His recent limited overs form is also encouraging. In the recent 100 in 2025, he smashed 229 runs at a strike rate of 153.69. And in the Vitality Blast, he compiled 420 runs at an average of 30, with an even better strike rate of 160.3. He came out with a top score of 59 across those 2 comps, showing that he can be consistent without having that absolute massive ceiling. On top of his potential to be a destructive opening bat with that insane strike rate, Clark should take the wicket-keeping gloves again for the Stars this season, giving him extra opportunities to accumulate points through catches and stumpings, which make him the standout batter for the Stars this season.
Yeah, let's hope he can bring over some of that UK form. It seems like he's been pretty, underwhelming in his couple of stints over here in Australia. So, gee, those numbers look pretty good, but can he translate it onto our shores? We'll wait and see. I've got the all-round must-have boys, and probably 2 or 3 really good options here in the Stars. And I'll leave the big show, I think, for an MVP spot a little bit later. But my all-round spot must-have is going to be Marcus Stoinis. He's had a pretty unimpressive last couple of seasons. In 2023, he averaged just 24 with the bat, and he took just 1 wicket from 13 overs. His numbers read a little bit better in the Big Bash last season. He averaged a touch over 28 with the bat. He top scored with 62. He was actually the 6th highest run scorer for the competition with 308 runs. but he was well down the list in terms of averages. He did bowl 25 overs, so twice as many as the previous year across those 11 games played, and he took 5 wickets, and he took a wicket about every 30 balls. So in the last couple of weeks and months, he's been coming in at number 6 for the Aussies. He did smash a 64 off 39, proving he's still got what it takes, and that was against a really class Indian bowling lineup, against the likes of Bumrah, Arshdeep Singh, and Axar Patel. So we should probably see him coming in a lot higher for the Stars, either opening if they're struggling with that top order, or probably at least that number 3 spot. So that'll give him a chance to take on the with the field up and the go over the top of that infield and pick plenty of gaps for the 4s and 6s to get his score rolling along nicely. But he's also got that opportunity to sort of put on a partnership with Maxi and go big toward the end of the innings there. So I like the upside he brings with the bat. But look, for him to go from a great to superb option, we're really going to need to see him with ball in hand and a little bit more than he has in recent years. So 2 to 3 overs a match is going to be unreal. But look, the Stars have about 8 genuine bowling options in that lineup. So those 2-3 overs are never really going to be a certainty. It's all about the condition of the pitch, the match situation, and how he's going injury wise. But a bit like we said with Matty Short way back in episode 1, let's hope Stoin can get plenty of runs with the bat, and anything he does with the ball is a bit of a bonus. I still like him as an all-rounder option, but let's hope we see a bit more from the ball this season. What are you guys thinking about Stoin there, Dill?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I just can't see a world where he's even given the ball unless there's some pretty significant injuries that occur there. Obviously, they've got Maxwell on the team. He's coming back from the injury. They've got the likes of Tom Curran there as well, who's a pretty decent all-rounder bowling option there too. I would love for Stoin to get ball in hand. And it's probably just going to come down to that watch and wait. And it was frustrating last season not knowing when he was going to bowl. We talked about that plenty of times on the show. So yeah, I think I would love Stoinis to be bowling, and I'd love to know whether he's going to bowl or not. But I agree that he will be an elite option if he is.
I'd certainly like to.
Yeah, we just love that upside with that.
Oh, sorry, Shu. I was just about to say, I'd like to know what he's done to annoy the Melbourne Stars coaching crew. He gets thrown the ball for the Australian team, but he can't get a bowl at domestic level. It doesn't really make sense to me, but...
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, who knows, mate? Who knows? Rightio, on to the player predictions segment, where we're going to name our young gun, our fade, and our Stars MVP for season 2025. Let's kick things off with who are we starting with? Let's go with Dill. Who's your fade, mate?
Yeah, look, okay. Before I discuss my Stars absolute must fade, I want to make 2 things very clear. This bloke plays for the Stars and he's listed as a bat. So do not fade the wrong Tom Rogers. No doubt there are some coaches that have probably done that before. Yeah, for me, look, Tom Rogers of the Stars is probably the biggest fade of maybe the tournament. And I don't think really I need to convince too many coaches at all of that. During the 2024-25 season, Tom Rogers played 8 regular season games. And look, across those games, he generally batted at 1 or 2, but he did have a stint at 4 or 5. One in each of those as well. Across those 8 games, he scored a total of 45 runs. That is a combined total of 45 runs. He had a high score of 14. He also had a duck in there as well. He finished with an average of 5.6 runs per game. Further to that point, he had 2 catches in 8 games, finishing with an average GDS score of only 8.25. Look, I know that you're probably thinking it's a bit of a down year for Tommy, but going back even previous seasons, Rogers, the previous year also finished with an average of 26 GDS points. So really his ceiling is very low and his floor is extremely low as well. It's one of those things where you have a batsman, he doesn't do much else in the field or with the ball, and you just can't see much upside there. It wouldn't be right of me, though, not to bring up 1 or 2 bright sparks when discussing Tommy Rogers. So, like all good analysts, I've got to make sure I look at both sides of the coin here. He was part of the Stars Academy side during that top-end T20 tournament earlier in the season. And during that tournament, he had massive scores of 65 and 128 runs, although it was against Nepal and I think the Hobart under 12s, maybe something like that. Go and have a look at the bowling lineup. You'd have no idea who those blokes are. So, look, for me, just with so many talented batsmen across pretty much every other team, I think Tom Rogers is just one of those blokes that you're just going to fade. Look, he might pop off and have a decent game, but I think there's a lot of safety elsewhere. And we talk a lot about playing our fantasy sports pretty safe. And for me, there's just so much risk involved with Tom Rogers. But I just want to reiterate that it is Tom Rogers, the Stars batsman. That is the person to fade, not Tom Rogers from the Renegades.
It's funny you say that, mate. I've just had a quick look at the Stats Center, and GameDay Squad Stats Center is amazing. It can give us a really clear picture of how these players have gone in the previous seasons. And I've just typed in the name Rogers, and obviously two come up. You've said about the batsman from the Stars. You've alluded to the bowler from the Renegades. Now, if we filter that by runs scored, Tom Rogers, granted, the bowler from the Renegades, played one extra match than Tom Rogers, the batsman from the Stars. But the Melbourne bowler scored 99 runs to Tom Rogers, the batsman, 46 runs. The bowler, Tom Rogers, hit 7 fours and 4 sixes. The batsman, Tom Rogers, hit only 5 fours and the 1 6. So if we could somehow play Melbourne Renegade bowler Tom Rogers in our bat position, we'd probably come out much more on top than we would if we played Tom Rogers batsman.
I actually think Tom Rogers from the Renegades had a high score of 49, which beat Tom Rogers' total for the season. So there's another one as well.
Righto, boys. That's enough shade on poor Tommy Rogers. We've said plenty of good things about one Tommy Rogers and some not so great things about another Tom Rogers. But hey, look, prove us wrong, mate. If everyone's going out to fade Tommy Rogers, he could be a pretty nice anti-pod. All right, the young gun for the Melbourne Stars. A bit like the Aussie cricket side, the Stars have an ageing roster. They've only got the 2 players below 29 years old. One of them is the more established 23-year-old Campbell Kellaway, who has 83 BBL runs to his name in 8 innings. But someone I think the Stars will want to be patient on is 20-year-old Austin Lazark. He's a rising right-arm medium-pace bowler, and he's a pretty handy left-handed lower-order bat as well. Last year, as part of the Melbourne Stars Academy, he impressed during that top-end T20 competition, taking 7 wickets across 3 matches, including an impressive 5 for 30. As a result, that led to him getting a call up to the Stars as a local replacement player when Scotty Boland was called up for Australian duties. Look, he's probably no guarantee of seeing any meaningful playing time in this year's Big Bash, but at just 20 years old, he's certainly a name for the future. And with the ageing Stars lineup, as that begins to move on, he's likely going to be a big part of that fresh young contingent of BBL's future stars. So I haven't seen too many cards of Austin and Lazark floating around on the transfer market, but he's going to be a couple I look for, particularly if he's not named on that team sheet for the first few matches and people look to move him on, because I think he might be a name that we want to be talking about in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, look, there's not many things that get me going more than a right arm bowler, left hand bat. And look, Austin has that, and I love seeing that. Just the ability to be able to change it up and deceive bowlers or batsmen, vice versa. Excuse me. I just love that. So, yeah, look, I'm trying to get all the Austin stocks that I can. Particularly, we know in the past, GameDay Squad then generally close that player pool down a little bit, the bronze cards, and that becomes quite hard to get once the season begins, just to make the player pool a little bit more meaningful. So, yeah, try and get your Austin cards now, because they might not be around too much longer.
Absolutely. Boys, we're 19 minutes into a Melbourne Stars preview, and we've barely said probably their best player's name for the last 10 seasons. Surely, tell us a bit about the Stars MVP.
Yeah, so there are no surprises as to who the Stars MVP is this season. And we did mention his name earlier, Stu, once again for spoiling the MVP surprise. But it is none other than the big show himself, Glenn Maxwell. Maxie finished as the second highest average of all rounders last season, behind only Matt Short, smashing an incredible 67 GDS points per game. He floated in that middle order between numbers 4 and number 6, managed to do most of his damage at 5 and 6, showing just how versatile he is. Whether he has to steady things if early wickets fall or unleash absolute chaos at the back end of an innings, Maxie's your guy. Despite a slow start to the season, he had just a high of 47 GDS points across his first 5 matches. Maxie lit up the back half of the season. He torched the Sixers, Renegades, and Hurricanes with monster scores of 93, 130, and 129 GDS points, reminding everyone why he's one of the most dangerous T20 players, not only in Australia, but in the world. Interestingly, he barely boosted his GDS output with the ball last year, taking just the 1 wicket, and that was in the very first game of the season. But as always, the Big Show found other ways to contribute to his fantasy scoring. He patrolled the hotspots in the field and grabbed 13 catches for the season, adding those valuable GDS points along the way. With his match-winning ability, his 3-dimensional scoring potential, and who knows, maybe 1 or 2 overs with the ball, and that absolute sheer chaos he brings whenever he's in the middle, the Big Show remains the clear MVP pick for the Stars this season, as long as he can stay healthy and avoid any injuries at golf.
Yes, or stay out of the way of Mitch Owen when he's blasting balls in the net. So he did suffer that was it that wrist fracture after sustaining that blow to the arm. But look, he did come back. Dill, is there any worries about his lack of game time? Hasn't played a lot since September. Had ran out for the Aussies twice against India. Didn't bat or bowl in one of the matches and scored just the 2 without bowling in the other T20. Are we concerned about any of that heading into the start of the Big Bash?
I am a little bit, but I probably will regret it if I don't play him when he's listed to play.
Yeah,
and I think, look, we had that issue last season where we and ahed every single game between him, Stoinis, Bowie Webster and Curran. And sometimes we just said it's probably better to just play all 4 of them because it just became such a headache. So, yeah, for me, there's no way I can keep him out of my side. And look, you touched on his catches. He took the most catches of any player across the competition. That includes all of the wicket keepers as well. So Josh Philippe behind the stumps took 13, Sam Billings took 11, and Timmy Seifert took 10. So, yeah, Maxi definitely there and can contribute across all areas of the pitch and the ground. So I think that's going to be super important as well.
So more catch points for Glenn Maxwell than runs off the bat scored by Tom Rogers of the Melbourne Stars bat variety.
Oh, poor Tommy Rogers. All right.
That's enough for the player predictions. Still, what have you got for us? Bit of a pack opening game.
All righty. As usual, we are going to open 3-player all-star pack. Look, today we've got some rare packs to jump into. And look, if any stars players are pulled, they'll go straight into the giveaway pool. We've got quite a few cards in there already. And to enter that giveaway, all you need to do is jump onto the FantasyBros YouTube channel or our Spotify or Apple podcast. Make sure that you like and subscribe to those shows and then comment who your Young Gun, Fade and MVP Stars players are for the 25-20. Really easy to do. You get yourself involved. We're going to draw those live on our first show, which will happen an hour before the first game of the season. All right, without further ado, let's jump into the pack opening. I just need to get the packs up and running. Here we go. All righty, let's jump into it here. Okay, jump across. Like I said, got a all-star rare, and let's see if we can get an all-star. I believe there's a Maxi and a Stoinis out there, all-star for stars. If we pull those, they're going straight into the giveaway pool. Do it. Alrighty, first card we've got is a gold Travis Head. Wee, boys.
Oh, is that an all-star?
You know what that means? That's not there. That is huge. Here we go.
Massive.
Alrighty.
Wow.
We've also got a gold Ben Dwarshuis.
What a pack.
All right. As I said, if we've got an all-star start, it's going straight into the giveaway pool. Let's see. What do we got? We've got a Glenn Maxwell.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
There it is.
You are kidding. That is insane.
That is amazing. Wow, Glenn Maxwell, straight into the giveaway pool. That's unreal. You've got to get around that. That is huge. I will have to check out what number that is in a moment. Boys, wow. Wowee.
Huge. If you weren't already getting your name into the player pool giveaway, you certainly have to now, and that's pretty simple to do. You've just got to jump over to the FantasyBros YouTube channel and comment on this video who you think is going to be the Melbourne Stars MVP, Young Gun or Fade Player of the Year. And gee, look, I think the comments are going to be piling up once word gets around. We might need a screenshot of that deal, and we might need to get that onto the GDS Discord server nice and quickly. All righty. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That concludes the 5th team preview of the Melbourne Stars. Remember, everyone, you can catch up on the rest of those previews. That'll be over on the FantasyBros YouTube channel. You can catch that up on Apple Music or Apple Playlist, as well as Spotify Music. They'll be dropping every Friday, and we've got 2 dropping each Friday. So that's 5 down. There are 3 to go. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. Dill, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much, boys. Catch you next time.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, boys.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode by the Fantasy Bros. If you want to show your support, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this show on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. Also, make sure you check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search @FantasyBros AU.